Hey everyone, it's Trader Rob. Today is Friday, April 11th. So, after a pretty crazy and entertaining week of trading and just looking at these markets and charts all week, kind of glad. I'm looking forward to the weekend. But with that said, let's take a look at how the weekly levels kind of fared out and how the setups, how my signals came out. Took a really nice win yesterday and had a few signals here today. So let's get into that right after the intro. As always, nothing that I state on my channel is financial advice. Trading futures or any type of trading is risky business. Any capital that is put out there is at risk for loss. Okay, so I mean we're done with the week. So now we obviously got to look forward to next week, and I'm pretty damn sure that based on headlines, financial calendar for next week, it looks like we're going to have some more fireworks. So this might be the new normal. It might be the new normal for trading, and this is actually a really good example of how your how your trading psychology, how you approach the markets, have to adapt with the markets. Volatility, ATR, the daily ranges are astronomical in the markets right now, and typical 5 point moves now are 25 point moves. Slight pullbacks that typically on the ES might be 5 points, on the Nasdaq might be 20 to 25 points. Now is closer to 100 points on the NQ, closer to 10 to 15 points on the ES. So all of that has to adjust. Your take profits, your stop loss, and most importantly, your strategy. So if you've got a strategy that maybe you've been honing in, and you start to notice that market conditions change a little bit, and your strategy starts to your edge starts to diminish, you really need to start to look at that strategy and say to yourself, kind of dissect it and say, okay, what's wrong with the strategy? Because a good strategy with edge should work in almost any market. And I know that's a very tough thing to say, but it's so damn true. If your strategy is working as the markets are developing, and another thing too is that take your strategy. Let's say you're accustomed to just working with the NQ. Okay, you've got the rhythm of the MQ, which is fantastic. I mean, that is great to kind of have an instrument and to know exactly how to trade it. What I challenge you is to take your strategy that you're implementing on the NQ and throw it across the board. Throw it, see how it fares against oil, gold, the Dow, the Russell. There's a lot of instruments out there, and see if that same exact strategy starts to work throughout all of the markets. And if you start to see results in each individual markets, then you've got a strategy that you can have confidence in, and you can have it's a strategy that stretches out throughout multiple markets. And that is extremely important as a trader, because sometimes we get locked into one instrument or locked into one strategy, and it might be working during certain market conditions, but you want it to be working throughout all market conditions. And this week was actually a really good example of it, because my actual trades, the quantity of trades, I should say, the quantity of really good setups, was much less this week than it has been, you know, previously, let's say for the last couple of months. And what I've noticed is that the reduction in setups is directly influenced by how the market is reacting. And I think it's actually helped me take a lot less low quality setups and to really see the market, what the market is actually trying to do. And I know it's a lot and it's very difficult to kind of explain, but the challenge I would have for you maybe this weekend or throughout this next week is take the strategy that you're trading and just observe how it, go back in market replay, go back on the charts. I know it's in hindsight, but take a look and see how that strategy works out in different markets. I think you're going to be surprised at the results and maybe pleasantly surprised, and maybe another one that, has you kind of scratching your head as to why it's not working in that market. Um, all right, so let's start off with the NQ here. So these were the levels that I plotted out on Sunday. Obviously, look out for my video that will be coming out this Sunday. That will have all of our levels, all of our fresh weekly levels mapped out, and kind of give you a kind of a blueprint or a footprint of, not a footprint. Let's just say a blueprint of what the next week might look like. Okay, and some key levels to kind of really look at. So over here, all the way to the left of the chart, which was pretty much Monday, obviously we had a lot of headlines, had a lot of fake outs, a lot of fake news reports that came out. But if you can see how price action pretty much all of Monday stayed right into that first band. We then pushed through into this second band, and obviously we had that big dip, and then we had the news spike. Now the news spike blew through the three bands, which is perfectly fine because that's fueled by huge news in the market, which were obviously the tariff news. I believe this exact bar was when the president came out and said, yes, we will be putting a pause on tariffs besides China. And we got that huge momentum, okay, or that huge push right through the bands. So once price action kind of started to, I don't want to say relax because obviously these were huge moves. I mean, they look really small on the chart, but they're actually huge candles, and these are 1 hour candles. Just this candle right here is almost 300 points. So you could see that we blew through this first band, which we never really came back to retouch. We blew through the second band, and as we came back, we could see that price action had a really hard time getting under this secondary band between 18,055 and 18,122. And then, of course, majority of the volume, majority of this price action really stayed in this third band that I had drawn out on Sunday. So obviously looking forward into next week, we've got some areas, this first band that really hasn't been really touched in a while. This looks like a pretty juicy area that I could see price action wanting to get back to. And then obviously I've got the three bands above us that is a kind of a fresh area for the market to want to push into. So, and again, on Sunday, I pretty much wipe out the charts and I redo all of my levels with volume and come up with my key levels for the week. The ES, honestly, the ES to me even looked a little cleaner. Same thing, we had to push through, came right back down, blew through this first band, had a trouble getting through this secondary band, came right back down, stayed in this band for 5 hours, came right back down, touched into this area. I had marked out that 5180, gave you guys that on Sunday, and this was an area, if you look over here on Monday and Tuesday, it's an area where price action stayed right exactly on, and another area right here where it just, it was a powerful level, powerful trading level at that 5180. Now, looking at above us, the point of control for the week pretty much stayed right in this secondary band between 53.79 and 54.28. And of course, that's where the end of day for Friday. This is where we ended off. So again, we've got two bands above us that I can definitely see that um, wanting to kind of touch back into. So, and on Sunday, I will provide you with a few tradable levels that you can take a look at for next week. As far as the signals, yesterday took a beautiful trade on the ES, called this one out on the signal service, along at the 53.29, tapped right into it, had maybe about, I want to say about 4.5 points of drawdown. And again, that kind of goes back to what I said towards the beginning of the video. You know, your stops right now, I typically like to see very, very little drawdown, because the less drawdown that I see, the stronger I know that the level that I mapped out was. That's just kind of my observation. So this one took about 4 points of heat, but quickly reversed and took us to take profit 1 and take profit 2 for a really nice trade on the ES. And this morning had actually, I don't want to say a bunch, had 2 setups that I put up as signals, but price action, towards that middle morning, price action just started to kind of go without us. So it kind of left my signals untouched, and had a trade call out this morning at 8:15. Something that I really liked on the charts, which would have been an entry short on the Nasdaq at 18,525 with a TP at 18,507. And I unfortunately did not put this one out as a signal. I said I really liked the setup, but my biggest issue was that this stop loss area at 18,545 for me looked like a very, very strong area where I could see price action wanting to sweep before making a move. And I watched this trade. Actually, I think some people in my signal service still took it out, or still took it. I think a lot of people might have even been looking at their charts with this one. And price action did tap into my entry and go straight to take profit. Did not take this trade. But you can see that, and I was looking at the charts. I dropped down to the 1 minute, and I could just see that the price action really wanted to test this right here, which is why I put out that I just did not see it, that I wanted to. That's actually exactly what I said at 8:40, that it would have worked out, but it desperately wanted to tap into that stop loss. Just wasn't the highest quality setup. And even though it worked out, I'm glad I didn't take the trade, just because my initial thought process was right. So that's it for this week. Another positive day of trading, another positive week, and hopefully you guys are getting some value out of this. I'm really enjoying it. All right, look out for my video on Sunday. Take care, everybody.